Northwest Iowa. I'm a Google Certified Educator, Level 1, Level 2, Google Certified Trainer, and a lot of these Google tools I'm really kind of excited about and enjoy sharing with the rest of the teachers in our building, in our district, and hopefully you can walk away today with some good information that you can incorporate in your classroom or share with others. Anybody having trouble to get to the webpage? It looks like this once you use the shoutkey.com/these. Everybody's good to go? Okay. If you would, while we're getting started, the session sign-in form, if you wouldn't mind doing that. As a trainer, we have to submit so many session presentations a year, and I'm not going to do anything with the information other than just first name and email. Google doesn't do anything. I guarantee you they don't do anything with the information. Don't send anything out to you from it. It's just a way for me to record that I presented sessions during the course of a 12-month period. So if you would do some time during the session, do that.
It's not accepting.
It's not accepting it.
That's what it says.
All right, I'll try and fix it later because that's not as important right now. Again, if you haven't downloaded the Street View app for your smartphone and would like to, we'll get to it later, so if you can install that. All right. Just kind of go through some of the things that we are going to go through today. We will do a number of Google apps, the Google Geo apps, My Maps, Google Earth Engine, Street View, Google Tour Builder. There's a particular blogger that has a lot of great stuff with maps and not all Google related, but it's a really good resource. And then if there's time, the other fun activity along with Smart Events is Google GeoGuessr. It's really kind of fun and interesting to try out with students. The first one we'll go through is Google My Maps. And the first thing I'm going to have you do is fill out a Google form on where you went for your first concert. Hopefully you've been to a concert. But I'm not going to do anything with it other than show you how to take that information and put it into a Google My Maps, and then see how you can get students to use this to create kind of a tour, or just kind of see other things that they've been to, or an activity that involves a story or a book that they read. To do that, there is, I believe it's the shout key here for My Maps. I think it takes you to that. Yes. Nope, that's wrong. It is this one. So if you click on the image, Google My Maps, it should take you to this Google form. And this information is only gathered just to have columns of data that I can use to extract from this Google spreadsheet and then put it into the Google My Maps. So if you click on that image, My Maps, take you to the Google form, just go ahead and complete this information.
We don't have permission yet.
I set this open, this is for anyone on the internet to use. This is just awkward. All right. Now somebody try it out. So it just tells you don't have permission.
So you have to be in your owner's organization.
apologies that this wasn't working right. All right, so what if we try this? If you refresh this page and then click on image and will it take you to it then?
No.
Nope.
It still doesn't? That is just not If you refresh again, it's still not letting you access the form. All right, well,
How about this? Got a link on mine that I can share this message with you. So there's this context version created. Here's what to say. So there's instructions there. It says.
well, and I could probably not take too much.
I don't know if that'll work.
So my apologies. All right, so in an effort just kind of to show you what I was hoping to be able to do, and I'll kind of walk through the process of what would happen to some degree here. So if you were to open up go to Google My Maps, it pulls up this view, and what you're able to do is import data from the spreadsheet, and you can tell which data to pinpoint. So from that Google form that I was hoping to be able to use from you, so it gathered your name, the band or artist that you first saw in concert, where did you see them, the city and state, and then just as a fun piece, if you're brave, what year was it, and the genre of music. So if I just did this once, just to at least get some data here, it was AC/DC and Cedar Rapids. I believe 1990. Okay, so if I submit that. And so from the end of the teacher, you gather the responses and you have access to that data in a Google spreadsheet. So if I were to open it up and just to at least look at it, so we're creating a new spreadsheet. It would show me all the responses here, and then all the category headings from that form across the top, and then all the responses down below. So what I would do with the students' data received from whatever it is you ask them in the Google form, in the map, I'm going to create a new map, and I have to add a layer first. So in this case, I've already added a layer called Attendees First Concert. And when I click on Import, it'll allow me to search for that Google spreadsheet. And search for it. Okay, so just as an example here, so it'll ask me which columns that I want to position a place mark. So if I had the form from you, I'd have the choice between first name, location of concert, the band, all those that I want to use. So the column that I would select would be the location, so that it can pinpoint the map of that concert. So I would select, let's just say this name, continue, and then I can select another title for the place mark. So in this case, I would probably select the one with the concert name, just to give it an easier to identify heading. And finish. And unfortunately, we can't quite see it as well, but it would pinpoint all the locations of the concerts that you went to. And then we could take that data, that information, and students can then access those pins and put more information into them. So for example, the first concert, they could get a picture of the arena that they went to, or if they have a picture of the concert itself that they were at, they can share that. You can upload or attach videos as well that are posted on YouTube. You can put in the description, and now you can use it as an exploratory activity with students to further look at the piece that you're using with, whether it's a book that you're covering or something in social studies as far as, let's say, a battle that occurred in some type of war, or something that was a disaster as far as something in World War II. So my apologies that it didn't quite work out here with the mind maps. On that, the page for the session resources, there is a good resource from Matt Miller, the Ditch That textbook he has for Google My Maps. So there's a link for you that you can access on your own as well, but just to kind of show you the resource real quick. So he has some really good ideas, 20 ways that you can use Google My Maps to enhance lessons in every class. And if you're not familiar with Matt Miller, he has the ability for you to subscribe to his newsletters. He puts posts up each week. He's got a podcast he does with Casey Bell for a Google Teacher Track. But he has some really good resources that you can access. All right. Google Earth Engine. Has anybody used Google Earth Engine before? Or familiar with it? Google Earth Engine, up until somewhat recently, it was actually a program you had to download, and it was quite beefy, and it took a lot of resources from your computer to run. And they just recently redid this, so now it runs more HTML5, so you don't need to download it. You can access it very easily from any browser. And if you want to kind of see the initial view of Google Earth Engine, if you click on this image, it'll take you to this page where you can just kind of watch a preview video a little bit about it. But a little history piece on this. There are over 45 years of Landsat data. And these are pics that have been taken twice daily from each satellite that they use for this. And it captures data. It'll capture data for things like climate, elevation, land cover, topography. So a lot of really good data that you can build from and use in class. It can track, measure, and visualize data over time. So things like if you have a discussion or want to do something on forest changes, on water levels, glacier issues, earthquakes, disease risk mapping, they have a lot of maps that you can access. And so this 45-year period with 2 pictures each day, they have algorithms that they've used where it'll eliminate pictures that are skewed. It's viewed by the cloud cover. So it takes those out, and you can watch kind of a time-lapse video of the changes of something over time. And there's 2 that we'll go through here. I'll show you. There's a Las Vegas one. This one's kind of interesting to see. But when you click on this time-lapse option here, at the bottom, it lets you go through a number of ones that they have available. So this one mentions Miami, Florida, Brisbane. So if I just kind of find the one for Las Vegas. All right, so we'll go here, Las Vegas. So this one, it began in 1989. We backtrack this, or excuse me, 1984. And we can kind of slow the speed if we want. Right now it's set to fast, but we can change it to slow. And if we play it, if you kind of watch this area and how it looks from the beginning to the end. So you can see the growth of the city over time, starting in 1984 and ending in 2016. Yes, 2016. But if you watch the city, also watch what happens to the lake over on the right as the city grows. So now you can maybe have a discussion on, all right, what's the correlation here? What's going on when this is happening, and how does it affect this? Cause and effect conversations. It can be interesting what students think of and how they relate the two. So that is Las Vegas. The other one here I'll show you is the Columbia Glacier. And the hot topic being global warming, this is another interesting one to view up in Alaska. All right, change this back to the beginning, 1984 as well. So you have the glacier mill that has melted, froze back over probably from that winter period, and then melted again. Another great conversation that you can have with students on cause and effect, what's going on, what's the bigger picture here that we can think about and talk about. Lots of great time-lapse videos to have. They add more quite often. Now it's somewhat limited. I don't know the count on this, but lots of different places in China, a solar farm, the Dead Sea. So lots of really different and interesting places that you can view. If we come back to the sites, oh, that's showing here. Resources. Can anybody think of another benefit or use that you can apply this in the classroom as far as watching the time-lapse videos? Something that you already do that would maybe give you some ideas on how you can use it? Some of the thoughts I had were things, discussions, I already mentioned that, observing the location and then having students write about that. What did they observe? What did they see? What do they think can be done to maybe fix the problem? Or having a discussion on, what can we as the future of this world do to contribute to the solution rather than allowing this to continue if it's a negative effect. So that's Google Earth Engine. Next, the Street View app. So if you have that already, if you open that, switch my screen sharing. Work, all right. All right, so the Street View app is the app that's got the G with the yellow peg man. And we open that up. This one is, they don't have a version that's set just for the iPad, so I'm using the iPhone version. And if you zoom into Hawaii, and just do the pinch and zoom feature with that, go for the island with Honolulu. And in the southeast corner, once you get there, you'll start to see other red circle numbers pop up. But if you kind of go to that southeast part of Oahu, somewhat near Honolulu, and as the further zoomed in you get, you'll see other red circles pop up that you can see. There are 360-degree images that have been shared by people who have created them and then shared them through the app. And then we can browse through them and we can see a two-dimensional view using the app. Or if we happen to have a VR headset, Once we're zoomed in and select the picture we want, putting that smartphone in your VR headset, now you can view that 360-degree image of something that has been shared. And one of the things that I thought would be interesting to see, if we can find it here, there's one that's called Hanauma Bay Nature Preserve. Has anybody been to Hawaii before? Have you been to the Hanauma Bay? I was in the Army and I was stationed there for 3.5 years, so I've been to the Hanauma Bay really a few times. And it's really cool, really interesting. But there is one red dot in Hanauma Bay, and if you zoom in far enough, there's a featured collection. And if we were to select that, we can click on that image, and we can browse through the particular one that they have shared within Hanauma Bay. You see the coral reef, the underwater fish, and things of that nature. But now you can also have an experience on something that you can't otherwise typically get from schools, especially for students here in the States, on the mainland, to view something in Hawaii, or to view the Great Wall of China, or the Washington National Monument without having to pay thousands of dollars for a school field trip to go there. So you've got a great way to extend what you already do and now get a really neat experience. One, either two-dimensional, say viewing on an iPad, or it also has a laptop, a computer component. But again, it's a two-dimensional field, but if you have the opportunity to put them into VR goggles, now you get that three-dimensional virtual reality experience with the Street View app. One of the really cool things about Street View is we don't have to just be consumers of the information. We can create, we can share out. Has anybody used the 360 camera that's built in the app and created images? Yeah? And have you shared them to that so now other people can view it?
No.
Not yet? This is one of the things that I've probably gotten the best reaction for an activity from a high school student is when they're creating this kind of content. So what we did in my school is I have students go out to different parts of the campus and they'll create 360 images of the sports complex, things around the buildings, just various things around town, and then they share them out in the app. And now they're contributing for other people to be able to see things, let's say, of our school. So people moving into the district, or curious about what our sports facilities are like, or something like that. Or if you even go on vacation, you can create an image of something and share it out for the whole world to see. It's a really cool place to go also. If you know you're going on vacation here, you can kind of see some of the things you might want to go to. But to be able to create that, in the bottom right corner of the app is the yellow circle with the camera icon. If you touch that button, there's three options. You can import 360-degree images that you've already taken that you can access from your camera roll or from Google Photos. You can link an external 360 camera, so if you had the Ricoh Theta camera, I think they were using it around yesterday, you can take images with that and that's a higher end camera, and then use that to upload to the app. But the other thing you can do is, as long as you've got a somewhat new phone, if you touch camera, and now you get this view, and what you would do with this is you line up the circle with the yellow dot, and you take a series of pictures in a circle, a bunch up above, a bunch down below, and when you're done, it'll stitch them together to create that 360-degree image. One of the slight downsides to it is the stitching isn't perfect, so you might see a little strange things. So for example, up above, when it starts to get to the more peak of the circle, the lights may not look perfectly shaped, or sometimes you might capture your feet. When I get to the point, I try and just kind of spread my feet out wide and try to avoid that, although it's not always perfect. But sometimes you might see a little bit of the stitching line. So if I were to do that, take a picture, line it up, take a shot, and I can just go any direction I want. I can go up and capture it. So I just take a whole bunch of pictures. Once it's done, I hit the check mark to stitch it. One of the really cool features about it as well is if you happen to get people in the picture or cars, you can blur the faces or the license plates, to keep the privacy of people you didn't get permission to do that for, or especially if you're doing those students good not to share that part out of it. So it does give you the ability to blur that before you confirm it, to then consider sharing it to the app for the world to see. That is the Google Street View. Let's switch back here. And there's still at least two other things I want to get to, but I thought is if you want, before we're done, if we have some little time, is that if you want to try creating a 360-degree image, just kind of give you the chance to walk through and try that out. So we'll see about that here in just a moment. All right, so the Google Tour Builder. Is anybody familiar with Google Tour Builder or used that before? It's still somewhat in a beta version, although it is usable for classroom use. So if you click on the image for Tour Builder, it will take you to this screen, and there are a couple issues with browsers and whatnot. So the way for you to check to see if it works for your laptop is to go through and I believe. Check here. This Kim Randall has a really good resource for it. And so if you check for Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, and web plugins, if you click on the View a Tour, it'll allow you to test it out to see if you can you can create one or view one using the browser that you have. So that's a way to just kind of check it out to see if it's up to date and current enough. All right, so from the web page, there's an option here where it says Google Tour Builder My Tour. If you click on My Tour, it should take you to this tour that I've created to share with you. Hopefully it's not like the Google form. Is everybody able to see that? Okay, good. So what I created is just a little tour of my stops along the way in my military career. But this is where you can take, in a classroom, is a war, a battle, the locations of the settings within a book that they read. And students can create a tour of locations and then add content to it for a discussion, for presentation purposes. They can add things for, much like the My Maps, pictures, descriptions. They can customize the pins, lots of other things to just kind of start a discussion too, or a demonstration of showing what they know, what they learned from the unit as well. So this particular tour, these were due locations of my stops during my time in the Army and the Army Reserve as well. So if we click on Fort Sill, it'll zoom into that particular location. So all right, so how did I get these locations? It has the ability for you to search, if you know where something was at, or a pretty good idea where it's at, you can search it, and even something off of Wikipedia, you can get exact grid coordinates, latitude, longitude, and then when you create a spot, a pin, when you paste in that coordinates, it'll give an exact location. Not close, a mile away, it'll be precise. In this case, Fort Sill, I've got some pictures I included for this particular pin of my time there, doing various things with field artillery. And then a description I've got down below. And then if I were to click next, it'll take us to the next place. In this case was Schofield Barracks in Hawaii, on that same island as Hanauma Bay. And again, there's some pictures here. And we can get into a discussion, if you include pictures, all right, what happened at this location? What's going on within the picture? What can we learn from it? And each one of these is just another location along the way. But as you can see, it's in an order, and if I create one and I realize it's in the wrong location, I can, as long as I'm still editing of it, I can change the order of them, and it just changes the path in which you travel within that. So let's say I went down to the last one here, last one in my stops in Balad, Iraq, 2005. Well, let's say I'm not quite done with it. I had saved it, I published it, but okay, I need to go back and do something. On this button here, I can do some various things. I can open it into Google Earth as well. I can play a full screen as well, and I'm thinking I can't choose edit here until I'm signed in. So I'm signed in. All right, so then once I'm signed in, I can go back to the edit screen, and now I have the ability to add in another location. So on the bottom left, I choose add location. Now it gives me the ability. This is where the field would be. You would paste in that latitude, longitude coordinates for it. Let's just say, just put this in and let's go, I think it was, okay. So it zooms into the Army Reserve Center there in Sioux City. And then I can add to tour. Now it gives me the ability to customize it. All right, so what were the dates that this happened or that I was at this location? So I can put the starting date, the end date, a little description and information about it in this larger field. I can change the icon for it. It gives you a number of different icons. You can customize it for depending on what that location might pertain to. And there are some advanced options where I can add a different kind of file, which is a little bit more higher end stuff. I haven't messed with that one myself. And then once I've got everything situated, then I would click Done Editing, and that is now added to part of the tour. So that shows up as a pinned item down here at the bottom. And then, of course, just like with just about any other Google item, you can share this out, and that's how I made it available for you. So you can have students share this with one another, share this with you as a teacher, and have the ability to submit this as a project or an activity that they may do, or part of something you do as part of the conversation within the unit that you're doing as well. Does anybody have any questions about Google Tour Builder?
Is there an autoplay on that?
An autoplay. Well, I believe that if we were to open in Earth, it's not going to be like a time lapse like Google Earth Engine was. But if it takes my tour and we put it into Google Earth, so it takes a little time to process, and then, all right. So if we're going to There isn't necessarily a way to autoplay it, so you can control it, or you can have students control it if they're presenting it, for example. So that way there's still enough time to be able to go through the information, the video, the images, and have a discussion about it, or what are the other activities you would do. So it won't be an autoplay feature, but more user control way to go through it, the Earth Engine. But the other way you can do this is you can scroll around and view the different areas. You can zoom out, see what larger areas that may be impacted by this being in this location. Does that somewhat answer your question at least? Okay. Any other questions anybody has about Google Tour Builder? Okay. The next one here on the site, if you go to Google Maps Mania Blogger, it'll take you to this page, and this person has, in my opinion, an amazing ability to curate information from maps about just about anything, it seems. In this case, the one that he posted yesterday was about North Korea's nuclear weapons range. The one before, who owns your water, and lots of other information that you can use to generate a discussion about. He has archives, and so if I were to collapse a lot of this, I mean, he goes back to all the way to 2005 when he started this. And you can see each year how many maps that he's posted. 2010, he had over 1,200 of them. Last year, 759 that he did. So obviously he sometimes posts more than one in a day, or often does. But you can go through them and search, what am I looking for? And let's just say we look in December. Here's one, out of the Ice Age. So if you're having a unit having to do with the Ice Age, let's see what else. Spanish election map. Good for maybe a Spanish foreign language class. There's just so many. It's hard to kind of just pinpoint one. But he has some in his archives that have to do with school gun violence, school safety, unemployment, live air pollution, live earthquake tracker. Lots of really good maps where you can take and put that into a social studies class or a science class, or depending on what others he may have available in an English language arts, and have a discussion based on what we see in the map and the information that's going on, and how information correlates and cause and effect. A lot of good ideas. So within those, he's got the archives, and I believe. So he has a live satellite map feed, and then he has a search field. So if you're looking for something in particular, you can search for it and see what kind of results you can pull from it that might have something to do with. I think there's one even having to do with the flow, the jet stream, the flow of the wind around the Earth. So lots and lots of different things you've got there. Okay, before we do GeoGuessr, if you would like to try the Google Street View app to create something, thought maybe I'd give you a few minutes to try that out, and then before we leave, if we again still have a little bit of time to try the GeoGuessr. Does anybody want to try the Street View and take a shot at taking a 360 image? If not, we can do GeoGuessr. All right. So this is also kind of more on the fun side way of doing an activity with students. You can do it in a single player mode, a challenge mode, but if we go through, let's just say we do a single player for our purposes here. And what it's going to do is it drops you some random place in the world that 360 images have been taken, and you have to determine where you are. And you have the ability to change your location to kind of move up and down roads and see if you can find clues and hints as to where you might be. So in this case, they've dropped us somewhere, looks like in some town, small city perhaps, and we have to kind of drive around and determine where we might be. So if I click forward here, we can move a little bit closer to our area. So in this case, we see a stop sign. I've done this in places where the stop sign looks different. You can kind of, okay, I'm probably in a foreign country. But they often skew a lot of signs, so it's not as easy to tell where you are. So I don't know if I'm able to position myself here to more easily read that sign. American Creek Campground. So, we can use Google itself, and all right, where is American Creek Campground? And we might be able to do a little better at that. So let's just say we do that. This is in Chamberlain, South Dakota. Too far from us. All right, so if we click on make a guess, actually we have to browse into where we want to go. There's Chamberlain there. So kind of drop in there, make a guess. And it says our guess was about 1.2 miles away, so we earned 4,995 points for this particular. And then you go on to the next round and try another piece. So again, it's more of a fun activity, but interesting way to view where you're dropped in, what the place looks like. But it's random, so you can't tell where you want to go and have students trying to determine where that's at. It just drops you in some place. And it's typically only where the Google car has been captures those videos that drives up and down the roads. So if it's a place that it hasn't been yet, it probably won't be available to use for the GeoGuessr game. It's a little early, but does anybody have any questions or something that you would like to know more about?
Will this be active for, you said 24 hours?
And that was just through that shout key
Okay,
site.
so just
But
bookmark?
if you want to even leave that tab open, you'll be able to access it or bookmark it or something like that. It's just easier to share it out that way instead of this crazy long URL.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, if you bookmark it, keep the tab open, it'll be open. Absolutely. But obviously, I need to do a little adjustment on Google Forms to make that work better. So I apologize for that. Do you have any other questions or any text? Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.